friends and fans. Hello, hello. Okay, I know you heard that jet taking off. So that gives you a hint that I'm going to talk about aviation. It's not. It's not. It's not going to be. It's not going to be about music today. Well, tonight. Okay. In my most recent video about aviation, I posted something about the first manned powered flight that was accomplished, and then it was accomplished by two American pioneers of aviation by the names of Wilbur and Orville. Those are they were two brothers, uh, Wilbur and Orville Wright. So they are known as the Wright brothers. So they were the first people to actually manage to fly an aircraft with a motor in it, installed in it, and manage. Actually, they were the first to actually manage to control the aircraft. And remember that aircraft is a heavier than air machine. So those two brothers, they were, they were the first to do so. It doesn't mean they were not flying before. Well, yes, they were flying before, but they were gliding. They were not flying motored. They were not flying powered aircraft. They were just fly, glide, and then land. There was no power involved. There was no power involved in those aircraft they were flying until 1903, when they flew the first powered aircraft. The Wright brothers, Orville, and Wilbur. Do you want to see a picture of one of their flyers? Because they had flyer, I believe flyer 1, flyer 2, flyer 3. Let me show you a picture. Let's see. There you go. As you can see, there you go. I hope you can see that. You can see that picture of the flight. There's one of them is actually on it. Okay, so that's it. That's all right. So what I want to do today is maybe to talk to you a little bit about those two guys. Okay, Orville Wright. He was born on August 19, 1871 in Dayton, Ohio, and he died on January 30, 1948. His brother Wilbur was born on April 16th, 1867 in Millville, Indiana, and died on May 30th, 1912 in Dayton, Ohio. They were the name of their father was Milton Wright, and he was born on November 17, 1828 in Rush County, Indiana. Actually, he was born on his father's farm, and he died. Yeah, he died also. Milton, the Wright brothers, father, died on April 3rd, 1917, at the age of 88. All right. Their mother name was Susan Catherine Kerner, and she was born on April 30, 1831 in Hillsborough, Virginia, and died on July 4th, 1889. And one thing I want to say, you know, mothers know best, because whatever those guys, because Susan, their mother, contributed a lot to the success, because she instilled in them an interest in carpentry and mechanics. She encouraged them to really get involved in mechanics and carpentry. So, and those skills really helped those guys to really accomplish everything they to really accomplish what they had accomplished when it come to aviation. So, hey, mothers know best. So she gave birth to actually seven children. So it was kind of it was kind of a big family. Yeah. So the father of those two brothers, Milton Wright, was the son of Dan Wright Jr. Okay. Dan Senior, what he did, he brought his family to Ohio in 1814, and then on his arrival in Ohio, he bought a piece of land near the national road. It is a road now that is known as the Miami County, which is north of Dayton. Milton Wright, and again the father of the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, was a was a preacher. Okay, he was a preacher. He became a preacher. He became a bishop of the United Brethren in Christ Church. Okay, he also had other church assignments, which actually took him to different parts of the country. Okay, so you can see that those two guys, Wilbur and Orville, you know, they had a father who was religious, and a mother who actually was helping them, was encouraging them in becoming, you know, becoming good citizens. You know, he was encouraging them to contribute, you know, in a very good way to the society. So I can say those two guys, they were in good hands. Okay, so actually the Wright family was among a great number of pioneers who actually settled in Ohio in the early 19th century. Okay, you know, as those Wilbur and Orville, Wright, like anyone, like you and me, you know, they were two brothers, and then sometimes they agreed with each other. Sometimes they disagreed. They had different personalities. They different habits, different temperament, and you know, and they were different in many aspects of life. But at the same time, they were able to get along very well. Wherever they were able to complement each other's voids, they were able to complement each other. They were able to fill each other's voids. Whatever one was lacking, the other one was able to fill that void. So they got along very well. They were able to work together in a very cooperative way, and of course, you know, their parents. You know, I can imagine that they were, you know, they were, you know, they were instilling in them, you know, the proper way to get along, stuff like that, to work as a team in order to get things done, you know. And so even though they, you know, they had a lot of, they had, you know, many differences, but they were able to work together, you know, in a very you know, in a very good way. So Orville was was the guy who was always bringing ideas. He always had a lot of ideas in his head, and he wanted to start projects. But the only problem with Orville, he was a little, kind of loose in his habits. Even though he had a lot of ideas, he, often he would start a project and then he would not finish it. You know, he was very enthusiastic. He was a very enthusiastic guy. He was really. He has a lot of he had a lot of energy, to really. He always wanted to. He was always looking for new ideas, stuff like that. But he was not as mature as Wilbur. Wilbur was the guy who was always when Orville brought those ideas. Wilbur was the one who take them and then use them, make projects out of them, and then actually see those projects through. So Wilbur was more. I would not say more serious, but he was more. He had more maturity than his brother Orville. So what they did, those guys also they helped their father Milton a great deal in his activities, in his businesses. You know, as I told you, Milton, the father of the Wright brothers, he was a preacher. He was a bishop of the United Brethren in Christ Church, and then he was given the responsibility to edit a journal published by the church, and the journal title was Religious Telescope. And then the sons, they were able to help Milton to edit. In that regard, they helped their father, in editing the church journal, which was the Religious Telescope. So by helping their father, they were able to accumulate some experience in that, and they use their experience to even publish their own paper. Okay, their own paper. They were, I think, they had a paper called West Side News. Okay, they were in that. Because they gained experience from helping their father in the editing of the journal of the journal um, religious telescope. So they use the experience to have their own paper business, and then like I just told you, the paper, their own paper was called West Side News. So you know, uh, through, I would say that Wilbur was the guy who was always trying to help. They were helping each other, but it looks like Wilbur was the one who, like, he was more disciplined, I would say, when it comes to business. When it comes to businesses. So yeah, they helped the father a lot in the business. So it became natural for them, to actually go into business together, since they were always helping their father together. They gain experiences in helping in helping him to accomplish success in his business. So it was natural for them to be able to work together in order for them to become successful in their own businesses. So what they did, they started after helping their father. So they're starting a printing business. They were printers, so they were in the business of printing materials. They printed a variety of religious materials, commercial, flyers, and so on. You name it, they did all that. But so, as you can see, I'm not talking. I'm not talking yet about what they had accomplished in aviation. I'm just giving you a little. I'm just telling you a little bit about them, so you can see, you can have some kind of knowledge of their background, leading to what they leading to the most important accomplishment they did in building and flying the first manned powered aircraft. Okay, which is a heavier than air machine. Okay, so the most important thing that had prepared the Wright brothers to become what they became, to the point that they built they built several aircraft, but the one actually that the one that we are using now, the technology they use that now we are using, is the powered aircraft. Okay, so what had prepared them to do that first is because their mother encouraged them to really get involved in mechanics, and then they also had a bicycle company. They had a bicycle company in 1892, which was called Wright Cycle Shop. This is a bicycle shop. Bicycle shop. Bicycle shop they opened in Dayton. And then they were building and repairing bicycles. And at that time, bicycle was considered one of the most exciting devices, okay, that could exist. So since those guys were, building bicycles, they were repairing bicycles, so they accumulated some experiences in doing mechanical work. Okay, so this is what they're going to take with them in the future to actually build and fly, okay, a manned powered machine which is heavier than air. So the fact that they got involved in building bicycles, they developed the skills of working, of building, mechanical machine. So that really give them the knowledge and the experience they will need later to actually build a mechanical machine, which is the aircraft. And not only they were able to build the aircraft, they were able to put a motor on it, they were able to fly it, and they were able to control it. And that this is one of the most important things they do. It's one thing to fly the aircraft, but it's another thing to control the aircraft, to pitch, okay, to land, to roll, even. So those guys, that's what they did. That was a big contribution to aviation, which we are enjoying. We are still enjoying today. So those two American, Wilbur and Orville Wright, those two Americans, okay, they were the aviation pioneers, okay, they were the aviation pioneers who actually flew. They were the first to actually flew a manned powered machine. Okay, the first manned powered aircraft was flown by the Wright brothers. Okay, and we will never forget that, because that's the same thing that we doing now. We're still flying aircraft. We're still flying powered aircraft, you know, because that's what those two guys, you know, that's what they did for us, upon which we learned. So next time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually talk about how exactly they were able to do what they did, how they were able to accomplish that wonder. And then in the meantime, I wish you a good day or a good night, and then stay safe. And then remember, every time I post a video about aviation, is in the name of safety.